Now it's my very great privilege to introduce the 10th Chief of Toronto Police, Mr. Mark Saunders.
Thank you. This is so surreal. Your Worship, Chair Mukherjee, board members, Chief Blair, honored guests, command officers, senior officers, police officers, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls. Thank you so much for coming today. My parents are my true heroes in my life. Having 6 kids, 3 boys and 3 girls, is nothing short of heroics. It's a rarity back then and next to impossible in today's climate. There were no needs and wants to fulfill, just needs. In grade school, my mom would make my suits for picture day, and she'd make them from scratch, and I mean 3-piece suits. She would go to college after having 6 kids to seek better employment to help my father. There were no drives to hockey practice in the mornings. Couldn't afford it with 6 kids. We did basketball, soccer, kickboxing, track and field. And speaking of track and field, some of the most fond memories of my life was watching TV, black and white and color, with my family as we watched my sister Yvonne Saunders, now Yvonne Mondesi. Yvonne ran for Jamaica in the 1972 Olympics. She ran for Canada in the 76 Olympics. She won the gold medal in the Commonwealth Games. She set Canadian records, national records, world records. I often used to think, what would it feel like to be the fastest woman in the world? When I was 10 or so, I remember in her bedroom, there was an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. It had 7 words. It said, I will, I can, and I shall. Didn't know what that meant. They weren't full sentences. So I asked my older brother, what does that mean? He said to me that was a motto. And I said, what's a motto? He said it's something that you live by. And how reminiscent is that when it comes to policing? I will. Having the willingness to serve the community that you've sworn to protect. I can. Having the training and the tools and the skills necessary to be capable. And the shall. The action piece. Acting on your willingness, acting on your training to keep our cities safe. Before I go any further, there are a few people I'd like to thank today. First, I want to thank the different levels of government that are here. I'm so glad that you're here. You are truly one of the best partners that we have. You understand the importance of keeping our city safe, and you have been great partners in doing just that. Mayor Tory, I want to thank you, sir. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for being a great mayor. You mean a lot to the city. This is one of the reasons why this is one of the best cities to want to live in. And I've often said that you almost work as hard as a Jamaican. I want to recognize Chair Mukherjee, and I want to recognize the Service Board. Our Toronto Service Board is a good board. I've had the opportunity of working with them, and I love the fact that this board understands it. They understand oversight. They understand what the best interests of this community is. And so I look forward to working with this board for the next few years because I know it's going to be a fantastic journey. And I also want to thank the Toronto Police Association, President Mike McCormick, and the Senior Officers Organization, President Deirdre White. We all have the best interest in heart, and I look forward to working with you. I've learned from some of the best chiefs in the world. Chief Ackleroyd, Chief Mark, Chief McCormick, Chief Boothby, Chief Fantino, Chief William Blair. And I've got to tell you, I've had the opportunity of working with Chief William Sterling Blair. I've sat across the table with him as a command officer. And there are 2 important things that he taught me that has been near and dear to my heart that I will carry with me. Number 1, you've got to be thick-skinned. This is not a seat for the faint of heart. And number 2, you have to love the community that you are sworn to protect. And you have to love the men and women that are dedicated to do just that. And if you do that, it does not become a job, it becomes a calling. And I want to thank you, Chief Blair, for those lessons, and I want to thank you for leaving a strong command. I have the best of the best right now. Mike Federico, Tony Vinziano, and Peter Slowly, who's not here today, 3 strong commanders, and also acting Jim Raymer. I want to thank you for the work that you have done, and I look forward to working with you. So 10 years ago, give or take a few days, I was standing on the 3rd floor, and I was looking down at the outgoing Chief Fantino handing the coveted sword to Chief William Sterling Blair. And at that day, there was not a thought in my mind that I would ever be standing here having Chief Blair hand me the coveted sword. But I've got to tell you, it feels really great. Reverend Kelly, thank you for being here. The Rev, it was important for me to have the Rev. The Rev was one of the first persons to hug me and welcome me to senior officership. And he was there through thick and thin, through better, worse, almost like a marriage. And anyone that knows the Rev knows that a microphone to him is like kryptonite. So the first miracle was had, he was under 10 minutes. So thank you, Rev, for your kind words. And to my family, I want to thank you for all the love and support that you have given me. I am here because of you. I've missed many an outing, and it was at the expense of not being with you. But I thank you for the support that you've given me. And in life, there are 2 types of husbands. The husband that gives public speeches and forgets to thank his wife, and those that remember. And today I choose to be the latter. Miss Stacy, my best friend, my rock, thank you so much. You picked me up when I was down. You dusted me off. You were always there for advice. You always remembered me to keep my values. I'm here because of you, so thank you so much. Policing is at a crossroads. It is under scrutiny as never before. The legitimacy and sustainability of policing are under challenge from those who believe it is both seriously flawed and too expensive. The challenges have never been greater, but so too opportunities to examine everything we do, how we do, why we do it. Should we continue to do it? Can we do it more effectively and efficiently? History teaches us that the greatest opportunity for change often comes when the willingness and desire to change are matched by the urgency for change. We have seen recently events involving policing in other countries that have caused great anger and damage. If we take comfort because we believe it could not happen here, we have missed the point. Complacency is never acceptable. We have to make sure that we get it right from the very beginning. Every interaction that we have with every member of the community, and we have millions a year, collectively define how the Toronto Police Service is seen by the community. They determine whether or not people are willing to support us, work with us, whether or not people are willing to help us keep the city safe. That can be the difference between whether or not we succeed or whether we fail. It is simply not acceptable to claim that the vast majority of interactions go well and only a few small numbers don't. Good enough simply isn't good enough. Every member of this service has a personal responsibility to make sure their interactions with members of the community are marked by courtesy and respect. We have to ensure that our community engagements become smarter, surgical, that they are informed and guided by the latest and most accurate intelligence, that they are guided by the law. We will target our investigative efforts at the criminal elements where they'll most be effective. We will do our best to minimize the social cost of our investigative efforts. I believe body-worn cameras will provide unprecedented transparency in our interactions with members of the community. Our year-long project started just 2 days ago. During our extensive preparation, we consulted very closely with the Privacy Commissioner, with the Human Rights Commission, and other community stakeholders, as well as distributing over 20,000 public surveys. We will get it right. It is clear from the vast number of collaborative efforts we have made with people and agencies in this city that we are no strangers to working effectively with others to preserve public safety. But we've only scratched the surface. There is an enormous amount that we can do to try to identify problems sooner, to try to intervene sooner, to prevent trouble, to work with partners to try to identify young people who may be showing signs of making bad choices and offering them alternatives. The issues of which the city is confronted are not just police issues or housing issues or health issues or education issues. They are city issues. We all have a stake in them. We all have something to contribute. We have to find the best, most effective, and most efficient ways to identify issues and come up with solutions. Waiting is not an option. The cost of policing is one of the most urgent issues confronting governments across the world. Governments with finite resources facing massive bills to replace fading infrastructure. We will examine everything we do. We will see how the things we do can be done more economically. We have made significant strides with civilianization, but we will look at every job currently done by a police officer. Does that job require the authorities and cost of a police officer? Can it be done just as well with a properly trained civilian? We will look at the way in which we use our police officers. Are there still other shift systems and deployment models that provide better coverage at less cost? This will require all parties to come to the table in search of the best way forward. We will explore technology options to identify opportunities where equipment can perform a specific function more effectively at a significantly less cost than a police officer. One obvious example is a traffic camera. It runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, never takes a holiday, never gets sick. We will look at other aspects of technology. Perhaps the most important area we have to scrutinize is our training. It underpins everything we do. It will change to provide our officers with more of the skills they need to manage community engagements better, to direct their attentions to the most productive areas, to zero in on those who deserve the majority of our attentions. We must also ensure that we equip our people with the skills to meet the escalating rates of cybercrime and the fundamental challenges presented by new technology, highly mobile populations, the relaxation of many border points, radicalization, and terrorism. At Chief Blair's farewell last month, I was sitting at a table with a dear friend of mine, affectionately known as Nana. Barb Irwin, whose husband died in the line of duty while serving those he swore to protect. During dinner, she leaned over to me and whispered, "My husband joined Toronto Police and was in the same class when the first black officer, Larry McClary, was welcomed to the Toronto Police Service. I'm sitting here today with the soon-to-be first black police chief of Toronto. I'm so glad to be alive to have witnessed these historical moments." I want to thank all of the Larry McClarys that were there, that have helped put me where I am today. And Barb, thank you very much. I will do my best to keep you proud. The challenges are greater than ever before. The stakes are higher than ever before. But so are the opportunities to take bold steps. We have no excuses. We know what we have to do. I feel a great sense of optimism. I've been a member of the Toronto Police Service proudly for 32 years. I know the men and women of this organization, sworn and unsworn. I have worked with many of them in many jobs in the service. I know what they are made of. We will succeed. Judge us by what we do. I am interested in results. I will work with anyone who genuinely is interested in keeping this safe and livable city that we have. We all have a stake. Join me. Aloha in Hawaiian language can be translated to mean hello or goodbye. Today, May 20th, 2015, I bid you aloha, hello. Thank you so much for your support. I will, I can, and I shall. Thank you.